Hello everyone. Today I have a specifically aggressive brawler setup for you all. The setup is made up of the Battlepass 50M, the Chieftain turret, and the 75mm Qolop. Let's start off with the meat and potatoes of this story. The armor. It's quite trolly and quite thick. You have a 90mm thick base plate with a 75mm upper front plate with a 90mm internal RHA plate, which means the front of this thing is kind of obscene to penetrate at most times, along with the turret being approximately 250mm thick. We say approximately because it is a weird shape which likes to just throw things off. Though you have the biggest weakness of any tank, be it your turret ring. This turret ring will be your downfall, so keep that in mind. Ultimately, with this turret, or with this setup, I would suggest angling. I know it kind of sounds dumb, but do angle, as you can utilize this armor quite well that way, and will increase your survivability a lot. If not, you'll see what I do in the upcoming gameplay, where I will just shove this tank relentlessly into the enemy tank to try and get them to either bounce directly off the front of the front plate here, off the turret cheek, or off the side somewhere, just to be trolly. For the internals, well, you got the chunkin' big transmission here, which will sometimes eat rounds. If they do manage to go through your upper front plate, oftentimes your drivers will eat it first, and there's two of them, thankfully, which means you are a bit more survivable that way. You have the 3 in the turret and 2 down here, so you have some replacements. Or if you're really unlucky, it will go through the transmission, and then the driver will eat the rest, which will increase your survivability. The engine is also the same. It is big. It will typically, people usually aim, if they're not aiming for the turret for some reason from the back, they'll just hit this by accident. Though not much dead space in the middle here. You do have your ammo rack here and here, but a little bit of dead space here and a little bit of dead space here. Though for the most part, if somebody gets you directly side on, for the better part, you are a dead tank, sadly, because you have the ammo rack here and the ammo rack here. Though speaking of ammo racks, the reason why I do not carry full ammo load is, like the Tiger 2, you have this problem. You have an ammo rack here, here, and 2 over here. I will never suggest take a full ammo load if you have the Tiger 2, Tiger 1, or the E50m, or as in the game it is called the Battlepass 50m. I will refer to it hereforth as the E50m. So I carry only 32 rounds, so that way I have my ammo rack here and my ammo rack here, apologies. You could technically take 17 rounds, 1 in the chamber, and just have only this ammo rack if you want to increase your survivability ever more. Apologies. Stand corrected, the ammo rack. This one is the final ammo rack. So you will remove the biggest weak point, honestly, of the turret is the back ammo rack. Stand corrected again, like I said, that one is the one that gets removed, and you keep this one. This one will kill you, and it will turn with the turret, so keep this in mind. This follows the turret. So if you rotate 90 degrees and you face off in that direction, your ammo rack will be about here. Keep this in mind. Use it to your advantage as well. I personally carry the 32 rounds, so that way I have a little bit more to dish out. And speaking of dishing out pain, on the other kind of pain train, this thing is quick. 60 kmh forward and negative 20 in reverse. And it drifts. Boy, does it like to turn. You have a 42 degrees a second turn radius on the hull, which is obscene. And speaking of obscene mobility, thankfully the Chieftain turret is stabilized, so you will not have missed shots by accident. And it's got a decent reload rate too, at 1.34. Now for the meat and potatoes of dealing pain. The cannon, 75mm Qolop. This thing is kind of an obscene in my opinion. This and the long 88 are really good cannons. The Qolop is a high velocity cannon, which means you do not need to lead your shots very often, and you don't need to aim too high to get long distance shots. Often very little. It has 237mm of flat pen, which is nice. You have a 205mm at 30 degrees, and at 60 degrees you're sitting at 119mm, which means you're most likely to pen many things at this BR at tier 8. It has a velocity as well. Like I mentioned, the exact measurement of its velocity is 1672 or 1672 meters a second, which is quite nice. The ricochet angle is amazing, 90 degrees. I don't think you'll ever manage to non-pen with the Qolop. As well as it has a pretty nice, though a little bit lacking, but not too much. Honestly, it's just that sweet spot of 105 grams of explosive mass in its APHE round. Speaking of which, is its only round. It only carries APHE. And the reload is kinda high. It is 11 seconds base, which the Chieftain turret brings down to 8.21 seconds. Now, to get these bits, these tank parts, the turret is in Joe's shack at tier 8, whereas the Battlepass and the Qolop are not. The Battlepass 50M, as it is called in the game, is at tier 8, like I said, blueprint shop, requiring a grand total of 92 steel, 26 titanium, and 200 iron. A bit pricey. The raw total of that is 584 coal, 292 iron ore, and 26 titanium ore if you want to craft it yourself. Whereas the 75 Qolop is a little bit more than that, carrying a price of 32 steel, 29 chromium, and 79 iron, costing a raw total, of 222 coal, 111 iron ore, 116 bauxite ore, and 29 chromite ore. Bit pricey, along with the cost of the fact that all of these cost roughly 2.1 million a pop. Though, as you'll see in this gameplay, it loves to just take a beating and deal a beating. I hope you enjoy my upcoming gameplay in the Fields of A. Well, hopefully you enjoyed that bit of gameplay where I took quite a bit of a beatings and dished out quite a bit of pain. Though, all in all, I have to say, like I said in the intro, this is most certainly a brawler tank that you will need to be aggressive to do good in. Though, without further ado, remember, not everyone needs a frown. Though, everyone needs a smile. So be kind, have fun, enjoy life. Without further ado, I'll see you all in the next one. Take it easy.